Hey Dolphins fans, let's get to the latest updates on our Miami Dolphins, and I'll give you all the details. Before we get into today's update on one of our star players, be sure to hit the like button and subscribe to our channel so you don't miss any breaking news from the Miami Dolphins. Trust me, you'll want to stay up to date with everything that's happening in camp right now. Okay, let's talk about Tyreek Hill. As we all know, Hill is one of the most explosive players in the NFL, and his presence on the field is a game-changer for our Dolphins. But right now, there's a bit of concern. Hill is dealing with what appears to be a thumb injury. Coach McDaniel has been pretty upfront about it, saying they're being cautious to avoid anything that could jeopardize Hill's availability for the regular season. The idea here is simple. Let the injury cool off now so Hill can be 100% when it really matters. And it's not just Hill, our wide receiver room has been hit hard by injuries this offseason. We have Jalen Waddle, Cracraft, Odell Beckham Jr., Taj Washington and Braylon Sanders all dealing with their own issues. Coach McDaniel addressed this earlier in the week, and while he acknowledged it's been tough on our depth, he also noted that it's given us a clearer picture of the fierce battles going on for roster spots. Now, with Cracraft's injury, there's some potential clarity on the 53-man roster. This could be the opportunity Erik Ezukanma needs to solidify his spot, especially after his standout performance against Washington. If Beckham is ready to start the season on the active roster, we could see a wide receiver group that includes Hill, Waddle, OBJ, Braxton Berrios and rookie Malik Washington. But if Beckham isn't ready and starts on reserve/PUP, ruling him out for the first 4 games, the Dolphins could be down to just 5 receivers and open up a spot at another position. So, what do you think, Dolphins fans? Should we be worried about all these injuries? Or is it just part of the routine as we prepare for the regular season? Do you think Erik Ezukanma has done enough to earn his spot? Let me know what you think in the comments below. I'm really curious to hear what you guys think. We have some tough news today about one of our favorite players, Cracraft. If you followed Cracraft's journey, you know he's the kind of player who defies the odds. He's not the flashiest guy on the field, but his grit and determination make him someone we can all root for. That's what makes his latest injury setback sting a little more. In the recent preseason game against the Washington Commanders, Cracraft made an incredible catch to cap Miami's first drive with a touchdown. It was the kind of play that reminds you why he's so valuable to this team. But after that moment, we haven't seen him return to the field. Head coach Mike McDaniel later confirmed that Cracraft suffered an upper body injury and will be out for some time. The good news? It's not the end of the season. The bad news? We don't know exactly how long he'll be out. Cracraft took to social media to share an emotional message with fans, giving us all a glimpse into his mindset as he faces yet another hurdle in his career. So far, the Dolphins have not placed him on injured reserve, but it seems like that may be inevitable. The team could bring him back later in the season under new guidelines that allow 2 players to come off IR if placed during training camp. But for now, not having Cracraft available is a huge loss. Over the past 2 seasons, Cracraft has played in 21 games for the Dolphins, and while his availability is starting to be a concern, his impact when healthy cannot be denied. If he ends up on IR, it would open up a roster spot, potentially allowing the Dolphins to keep 6 or even 7 wide receivers. With Odell Beckham Jr. still on the PUP list and Willie Snead recently placed on IR, that final spot could be up for grabs. So, Dolphins fans, what do you think? Should the Dolphins keep 6 or 7 receivers on the roster? And who do you think will appear in the absence of Cracraft? Leave your ideas in the comments below. Now let's talk about 3 Dolphins players who are playing without a job this offseason. It's time for the truth, and the pressure is mounting as we get closer to final roster cuts. Let's get to it. First up, we have Elijah Campbell. Now, the Dolphins secondary is a mixed bag this offseason, with a few spots still open. Campbell isn't a bad player, far from it. He's actually been solid in camp. But here's the thing. Solid might not be enough. The competition is fierce, and with guys like Storm Duck and Jason Matra really making the most of their opportunities, Campbell is going to need to step up his game if he wants to stay. Anthony Weaver has been working hard to get the defense in shape, but Campbell needs to find a way to stand out more. It's not just about doing well, it's about doing better than everyone else. With the depth in the secondary, the Dolphins won't be able to keep everyone, and Campbell could find himself on the outside looking in if he doesn't make a big impact this final week. Time is running out for him to prove he's more valuable than the younger, hungrier guys behind him. Next, let's talk about Jeff Wilson Jr. We all love Wilson's attitude. He's the kind of blue-collar running back who's easy to root for. But the reality is he hasn't had the kind of preseason he needed to earn a roster spot. Wilson missed the game against the Commanders with a nose injury, which was a missed opportunity for him to prove himself. With Salvon Ahmed now out, Wilson is one less competitor, but he still needs to show he's more than just depth. Chris Brooks, who was expected to carry a significant load, also got hurt, leaving the door open for Wilson if he can get back on the field. This week's game against the Buccaneers could be his last chance to convince Mike McDaniel he deserves a spot on the final roster. Wilson has the work ethic and the right attitude, but he needs to put in the work on the field to earn his spot on this team. Finally, we have Ryan Hayes, our 7th pick in the 2023 draft. The Dolphins' offensive line isn't exactly overflowing with talent, but even with the lack of depth, Hayes hasn't managed to make the impression some were hoping for. He's been buried on the depth chart and hasn't shown the kind of progress that would make the coaching staff rethink his position. Hayes has the advantage of being a draft pick, which means the Dolphins could feel comfortable keeping him on the practice squad for now. Another year of development could be just what he needs, but as for making the active roster this season, it seems unlikely. Hayes has potential, but he's not ready for prime time yet, and the Dolphins need guys who can contribute right away. So, Dolphins fans, what do you think? Do any of these players have a chance to turn things around this past week? Or are their days in Miami numbered? Leave your thoughts in the comments below. Let's talk about a player who's poised to make some noise this season. Tindall, the 2022 third-round pick, is eyeing a breakout year in 2024, and he has big plans. Let's dive in. Tindall has been a mystery since joining the Dolphins. As a top pick out of the University of Georgia, there were high expectations that he would make an immediate impact. But so far, his NFL journey has been slow, with most of his playing time on special teams. But if you ask Tindall, this is the year that changes. He's confident, and he always has been. It's always going to be a year for a Tindall to break out, he said recently. And that's not just talk. Tindall has been energized by the arrival of new defensive coordinator Anthony Weaver, who has brought in a new scheme that could be the key to unlocking Tindall's potential. Tindall has been grinding, focusing on the details and understanding the new system inside out. He's determined to eliminate any gray areas in his game, honing in on the little things that can take his performance to the next level. And from what he's saying, this new scheme gives linebackers like him a chance to showcase their versatility. While Tindall is keeping some details under wraps, it's clear he's feeling optimistic about his role on defense this season. But it's not just Tindall who's feeling positive about his progress. Anthony Weaver himself had some glowing words for the young linebacker. "Man, I'm so proud of that kid," Weaver said. He acknowledged the pressure Tindall feels, given his draft status and the expectations that come with it. But what's impressive is how Tindall has responded, improving every day, soaking up the training and now starting to show those results on the field. Weaver believes Tindall is still on the rise, which is great news for the Dolphins. Now, let's be real. Tindall's first goal this season is to make the 53-man roster. His ability to contribute on special teams will help, but it's not guaranteed. The Dolphins have depth at linebacker with guys like David Long Jr., Duke Riley, and new additions Jordan Brooks and Anthony Walker Jr., so Tindall has some serious competition. But don't count him out. Tindall's mindset is to prove himself, no matter what the team asks of him. "Every year I feel like it's my year to get there," he said, and this year is no different. He's ready to step up and do whatever the team needs, and he has the confidence to back it up. He believes in his abilities and knows he can make a difference on this team, even if it's not in the way everyone expected when he was drafted. So, Dolphins fans, what do you think? Is this the year Tindall finally breaks through and makes a name for himself in the NFL? Or is he still a work in progress? Leave your thoughts in the comments below. I'd love to hear your thoughts on this. And before you go, be sure to like this video and hit that subscribe button. We have a lot more Dolphins news coming your way, and you won't want to miss any of it. Fins up!